I'm glad that The Walking Dead decided to take a gamble and kill off a major character, but killing off Carl was so messed up. Right now, there are quite a few fans online who are highly upset and want to trade Daryl for Carl. In other words, they want Daryl to die, and the reasons why, and this is nothing new. This collective has been growing, I think, since season 4, season 5, and it only keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. These people say that keeping him alive means killing off more major characters, giving him iconic comic book storylines, and knowing that his mistakes will mean consequences for others more than himself. His pain and grief will be highlighted and focused on, all the while characters will console him rather than allow themselves to truly grieve, i.e. that scene in season 7 where Maggie was consoling Daryl and people were pissed. Really pissed. Because they felt like it should have been the other way around. I was just kind of like, should Maggie be the one crying and breaking down, though? Because I do recall in the comic book that she did, not like break down, but she did grieve for a while. And then she had to kind of like strap herself up and get ready for this battle, i.e. all-out war. The thing is, it feels like AMC fears killing him off and losing his following. I've heard numerous people refer to him as the cash cow of the show. But the thing is, I went to the Walking Dead panel at New York Comic Con and I witnessed the vast number of people dressed as Negan in cosplay. The roar of the crowd when Jeffrey Dean Morgan stepped on stage. That is not to say they did not cheer for Norman Reedus, because they did when he came out. But the Negan following is even more massive, and it is creeping past the Daryl following. At Walker Stalker Con 2017, which was last weekend, December 9th and 10th, I attended for both days. The crowd of fans waiting to meet Jeffrey was so big that by Sunday, groups of people had to be turned away and their prepaid autographs refunded, because I'm assuming that Jeffrey was probably tired because it was a hell of a lot of people. You should have seen all those people. And mind you, on Saturday, it was snowing, or it was the aftermath of the snow, and the conditions were a little treacherous, and that did not stop the fans. Hell, it didn't stop me, but it also didn't stop the Jeffrey Dean Morgan fans that were out there early and ready to meet him. His photo ops at this convention were completely sold out. Just about everyone at the convention, save for me because I had on a Walker Stalker Con shirt each day, they all wore Negan t-shirts of all shapes and sizes. And there were quite a few Negan cosplays, women, children, babies, men. All of this is not to say that I hate Daryl in any way, shape, or form, because I don't. I'm just disappointed that the show refuses to shock us like they did in seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. But that does not mean I want Michonne, Rick, Maggie, Judith, or Carol to die. No, I'm not saying that. I know the power of social media when it comes to The Walking Dead. Quite a few people called for Carl's death in seasons 6 and 7. And look what happened. I just want the element of surprise to return to this show. The spoilers leaking tend to ruin that. Most of all, I wish that this was some sort of vision or dream, as corny as it sounds, and that Carl would be okay. But unfortunately, I just saw a picture today of Chandler Rigg, who plays Carl, or played Carl, and he cut off his hair, so Carl's gone. But let's just get down to this review. It took me about 6 days to get my thoughts together, because this episode definitely just threw me for a loop. Even though I knew that Carl was gonna die, I knew that information by November. But anyway, let's get down to this review. Pretty much the episode is all about Negan and the others coming to Alexandria's gates the kingdom's gates, and they don't go to the hilltop. They go straight to Maggie and impede her movement, basically make her turn around. And the episode pretty much starts off with Rick, and Rick is coming to terms with the fact that his plan has gone kaput. He doesn't know how, he doesn't know why, but all he knows is that something bad is about to happen, and he's got to get back to Alexandria. Meanwhile, when he jumps down, all of a sudden the Saviors start firing at him. And then the garbage people take off running. Am I surprised that they take off running? No. A bunch of punks, and I still don't trust them at all. Thank goodness for Carol pulling up with her SUV, because Rick just seemed like he was a goner for a minute, and I hate those scenes when it seems like he's a goner. Carl was a little bit too wise in this episode. He was shown making a speech about the future. He was shown writing a letter. He had this big plan. He was willing to sacrifice himself to save Alexandria, and that's when I knew that he was going to die. Now, maybe I missed the clues in the first time with him jumping down from the wall and holding his side, or walking and seeming disoriented, although you could also attribute that to the cans of gas and him breathing that in, so I didn't know really what to think. All those montages, those montages were making me stressed because it felt like a spinning wheel. The wheel going around and it would stop. But I think the funniest montage happened when you see everybody's face for the most part, and you kind of see their reactions. Then they get to Negan, and Negan just riding in his truck, just whistling, showing off his pearly white teeth. He's the only one that's always having fun regardless of what is going on. He's such a psychopath. I did like that scene with Aaron and Enid traveling together. Scott Gimple said that during this season there were going to be a lot of unlikely pairings, and we've seen quite a few, but this most recent one with Aaron and Enid was cute. And I did like hearing Aaron reminisce about Eric and wanting to make sure that Eric died for a reason, and those two are on their way to Oceanside. Another cute scene happened with Judith and Michonne, where Michonne said to Judith, say bye-bye, and she said bye-bye and kissed Michonne on the nose. I like the scene with Michonne and Daryl talking, and how Michonne kind of apologizes to Daryl for leaving him, and he's just kind of like, well, you know what? It doesn't matter. My plan worked. It's fine. Well, essentially his plan went as he planned it, but I don't think that they thought that Negan and the gang were going to come bum rushing the gates. That part I don't think he thought of. Now, the scene with Tara and Rosita was a little bit funny. Aaron and Enid stop and rest, and all of a sudden they're sleeping, and Aaron spies somebody darting past or darting behind some sort of truck, and he goes after that person, and somebody knocks him in the head, and then Enid pops up and she shoots the person, and the person turns out to be Sydney, the girl from Oceanside's grandmother. And I'm just like, this is one hell of a first impression that you're making, Enid, and these people already, these ladies, feel some type of way as it is about Team Family, and this is only going to make it worse. Now, Michonne and Carl are talking. Carl explains that the reason why he's dragging this manhole cover over the hole is because he's got a traveler friend that he helped. And before Michonne can react, and before he could tell Michonne the guy's name, which is Sadiq, here comes Negan. Negan's pissed, as we figured he would be pissed, because Negan is always pissed. But he's a happy, jolly, making weird quips type of pissed all the time. And he leans. He has this mindset that Team Family was in on Daryl's plan, but he doesn't know it was Daryl's plan. They weren't. Basically, he threatens them and says, you guys have 3 minutes to come out with your hands up or we're firebombing Alexandria. Michonne's like, it's time for us to go. Now, this second montage, I knew something was going to happen, and when it lingered on Jerry and Jerry's car got a hit, my stomach dropped. I guess I was feeling some type of way on Sunday because that was the day I went to Walker Stalker for the second day, because I went the first day, that Saturday and that Sunday, and I met Cooper Andrews, who played Jerry, and the whole time I was at Walker Stalker, I was trying to figure out who the hell got killed or is getting killed off on the show, and for some reason I felt like it was Jerry because somebody leaked the picture, and I was worried sick about Jerry. Ezekiel's still in mourning at the kingdom, but he doesn't have enough time to continue because the Saviors rush in and they're looking for him and he has to hide. Jesus, Maggie, and Diane and Neil are on the road headed to Alexandria, and they come to a roadblock, a tree in the road. Maggie is freaking out. Jesus doesn't think it's a big thing, and I'm just like, yeah, because you weren't on the road and you did not experience what Negan did to Glenn, to the group, and to Abraham. You didn't see it. So these trucks pull up, the cars pull up behind them, and they are surrounded. This truck pulled up in front of them. 2 Saviors are inside. In fact, there were 3 of them with Jerry, and the angry Savior, whose name is Gary, pops out and puts a gun to Jerry's head, and the other 2 Saviors put this wooden coffin on Maggie's and Jesus and the other car's hood. So Gavin reluctantly decides to punish the kingdom. Says the kingdom belongs to Negan, and then the camera stays on Nabila, and I'm like, what is Nabila about to do? And I'm so glad that Nabila is being shown in this series a lot. I just hope she doesn't die this season. I hope she continues on because I like that character. Back with Maggie and the others in the road. I was so worried about Jerry. It looked like he was going to die. Negan starts talking junk, and I was happy that this scene from the comic book was included in the TV show, but it did not play out the way it played in the comics, or played out in the comics, and I was okay with that. Negan mentioned something about the baby at the outpost. I'm like, Gracie, so he knows that the group has Gracie. Carl basically says to Negan, you can kill me. I don't want to die, but if someone has to be punished, let it be me. I'm just like, Carl, you're so brave, but you're also going to die. Oh my goodness. And it would be worth it if he dies, especially if it makes a difference. And he asked Negan, is this the plan? Is this what you wanted to happen? And Negan's just kind of stumped by that. Meanwhile, Alexandria is evacuated. Some trucks basically take down the back wall, and Dwight and Laura and the other Saviors witnesses. And I think Negan was talking to someone, turned his back, Carl disappeared. When he jumped down or climbed down from the wall, he grabbed his side, and I knew something was wrong with him. And then he starts like activating those cans he was holding and dropping them around, all the while I think it was right after Negan and his people start firebombing Alexandria. So Gavin says that the people, the Knights of the Kingdom, need to give up the location of Ezekiel. He acts like he feels remorse, but really I beg to differ. Gavin gives them 5 minutes or he's going to have to kill someone. So we get to see another scene with Simon and Maggie and the others. And basically Simon tells Maggie, listen, either you turn around and go back, or we're going to kidnap you, put you in this wooden box where you'll survive, unlike your friend, Sasha. We will take you back to the hilltop. We will kill you, put your head on a spike, Alpha reference, and then we will surround the hilltop with walkers, but we'll be more successful than the idea that Rick had. But Rick's idea was successful until Daryl decided to do what he did. Still mad at Daryl. But Simon had to drive his point home and killed poor Neil, who sat in the back seat. And for some reason, I thought they shot Diane. I'm like, oh no, you killed Diane. But it wasn't. It was Neil. And Maggie asked for the coffin box to bury Neil. We see Eugene in his room suffering. It's midnight. He can't sleep. He takes a drink. I'm just like, Eugene, I really don't feel sorry for you. Carl is all alone. Everything has been firebombed. Carl put down all those canisters. There's all this like smoke everywhere. He sees the saviors slinking in, trying to find him. You can tell something is wrong. He looks sick. He makes it to the front door of, I believe that's Rick's house. It's empty, of course. Or it's another house. Either way, it's empty, of course. The houses blow up. Carl looks bad. Rosita blames herself for what happened to Sasha. Tara doesn't believe that the idea that Daryl had helped the saviors escape. Wrong. It did. Even if Eugene hadn't made that doohickey thing he made, still, driving that car into that building was a horrible idea. Horrible. Dwight drives Laura and the other saviors into a trap. Laura points that out. She doesn't exactly say that he drove her in or them into a trap, but more that you're driving us straight towards these people shooting. Daryl, Tara, Michonne, and Rosita open fire on them. Dwight kills a few of the saviors. Laura shoots him in the shoulder. She figures out that Dwight was the mole. And she takes off running back to, I guess, Negan and the gang on the other side. The saviors enter Alexandria. The convoy got away. Negan talks about he wants to go into Rick's house and make that stupid spaghetti. And when I watched the scene the first time, I'm like, make spaghetti? What is he talking about? So Carl's disoriented, but he does this smoke trick and disappears down into the sewer, which is pretty cool. Eugene wakes up the doctor and Father Gabriel and says that they have to go, but he's not going with them. He wants to make sure that Father Gabriel returns the doctor to the hilltop so that he can help with Maggie through her pregnancy, so that when she gives birth, he'll be there if any complications arise. And Eugene made sure that the guard at the north entrance had diarrhea. And Eugene only helped them because he wants to sleep tonight, but he says, I'm not going with you guys. I'm not leaving. Ezekiel creates a diversion with fire and a school bus so that his people can escape. Carol sees Nabila because she comes rushing in, and Carol tells Nabila to get the kingdom people to safety, to go to her little house that's outside of the gate. Ezekiel tells Carol as he's about to lock the back gate, save them like you saved me. And at this point, I'm worried about Ezekiel because I'm like, I don't want Ezekiel to die, just like I didn't want Ezekiel to die in the comic book at this point. He did eventually die, spoiler alert, but I'm not going to tell you how he died, although I probably did say how he died. But I'm sure this TV show will make it play out just like it did in the comics, and I'm not looking forward to that. By the time Maggie, Jesus, Diane, the others, and the late Neil return back to the hilltop, Maggie is pissed. She goes to the Savior's pin. She grabs Dean, the Savior who tried to kill Jesus. And this guy, Alden, who's another Savior who I think in the end is going to end up as Maggie's right-hand man, because really, he's coming across as a nice guy. Kind of hope he doesn't die, even though he's a Savior, because he seems kind of cool. He's trying to defuse the situation, but Dean is just like, shut up, Alden. He acts like Cupcake. That's what he calls Maggie. Won't kill him, but she shot him point blank in the head right through here. Jesus is all upset. Maggie says to Jesus, listen, we got to do what we got to do. We have to be ready because the other two, the kingdom and Alexandria, were attacked. And the people are going to need a place to run to. And we are basically going to be the last stand. She's extremely upset about what happened. And I'm sure on a side note that she's also mad at Paul Jesus Rovia and that idea he had to save the saviors. Because from what she witnessed, the saviors are what she thought they were. Pretty much Dwight is a sad soul because he calls Rosita and Daryl and the others over and he tells them it's over, they're gone. He kind of begs for his life, so to speak, because Laura ran off. She's going to run to the saviors and tell everything. He can't go back to the sanctuary. He reveals that Eugene helped get the saviors out of the sanctuary. He says that he can still help and he wants Negan to die. Daryl is pissed off and he decides to snatch his vest off of Dwight. Like, I get that Daryl was mad because Dwight had his vest, but man, the dude's shoulder is hurt. Like, wait till he kind of gets it in a sling or something because that had to be painful. Anyways, Michonne has a whole bunch of guns and she's just like, we need to get back to Alexandria, and Rosita reluctantly helps Dwight stand up on his feet because Dwight is just pitiful. Maggie puts Dean, the savior's body, in that wooden box and writes on the top lid, we have 38 more saviors, stand down. Here's the thing, I think that Carol and Morgan are going to save Ezekiel. I think that it was nice that Dwight apologized to Michonne, but he's got a lot of trust to build with this group because he did a lot of shady things. Not only to Daryl, but to Denise, so it's going to be a while before the group fully trusts him. Now, Michonne is the only person that does not go down into the manhole because she spies some walkers and she's going to take care of them. Meanwhile, Rick returns to Alexandria. He sees the aftermath of what happened. He goes to his house. He can't find Carl or Judith. All he finds is Negan. And Negan's beating on him. And my favorite line from that scene was Rick saying, you ever shut up? And Negan's like, no. I'm like, what is Rick? Is Rick the audience saying that? Because Negan does talk a whole lot. That fight was definitely something else. It was a little too early for that fight. As far as the comic book storyline is concerned, I know the show does not follow the comics, but it's kind of sort of following it. So it's safe to say that Miss Alpha, she's coming. Maybe she won't meet up with the group, but we're going to see her at some point, and we're going to know it's her. Rick continues to fight with Negan until Negan pushes him through the first floor window, and then Negan, with his kind of bloody up face, is just like, shoot. Well, he doesn't say shoot, but you know what I'm saying. Michonne is kicking butt and taking names with these walkers. I'm so happy that badass Michonne is back. And then this rapey dude grabs her and I'm like, another idiot. Alright. And then Michonne stabs him through the head with her katana. And then she goes to town on him, slicing and dicing this dude. Rick finds her, puts his hand on her arm. He kind of grabs her hand and then she leads him to the others. Now this final scene of that episode broke my heart. Rick and Michonne look at everybody that's down there and it seems like everyone's fine, but there's some type of somber atmosphere going on. Like, people look sad. a little bit too sad. And at this point, if you didn't know the spoiler, you would think, oh, they're sad because Alexandria is destroyed. What are they going to do? And then there's another montage of reactions. And the camera goes to Rosita and Tara, and they look really sad. And Carol and Ezekiel, Dwight, Eugene, Father Gabriel, Daryl, Judith. We see Sadiq, and Rick's like, what is Sadiq doing here? And I guess he doesn't know how to react. And then Carl says, I brought him here. And you look at Carl, and you remember how he looked maybe a scene or two ago. He seemed okay, just a little woozy, a little wobbly. But he looks bad. Ghostly pale, washed out. He reveals that he got bit while helping Sadiq, which he did. If you did not understand what he was talking about, or if you forgot, when Carl fell back on that deer, these walkers fell on him, and one fell right on his side, and that walker sunk their teeth into him. That's where the bite mark came from. Michonne and Carl look devastated, and so am I. I watched this on the app, and maybe it's me, but it felt like a scene was kind of sort of missing a little bit, because I could have sworn they showed us a part where Rick and Michonne are upset. Then Michonne gets up and she walks the opposite direction away from them, and then Daryl gets up holding Judith and follows her. But for some reason, I didn't see that on the app, unless somehow I looked away, but I really didn't see it. That's it, folks, until February 25th. I'm going to figure out a schedule with these reviews, because the Saturday thing is not working. I got to do it earlier. Me and Happy are here just chilling and killing. Until then, you all have a happy holiday, happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. I believe Ramadan is somewhere this month, sometime this month. Be safe. Have a happy new year. I'll see you in February. And as for the show, the ratings are going to drop again because a lot of people threatened to stop watching. Honestly, I'll still be watching. I'll still be here. I'm Sage Valentine. Took me a while to finish this review, but I'm glad that I finally finished it. So until next time, me and Happy. Say bye, guys. Say bye, Happy. Bye.